An explosion takes over the place, a nuclear explosion, a volcano. We'll find out as two boys run and try to survive. They arrive at the place where ships are leaving the island. The person in charge tells them to hurry up and get on the ship soon. They talk about two more people and the person in charge said Yanagi went after them. Then we see that Yanagi in peace they're watching the volcano melting everything that was close. He says that he will then do his last job and we see the shape of a dragon in the middle of the lava. The other two mentioned before fled with injuries. One is unconscious and the other worries about his master. The boys already on the boat are worried and bubbles representing the sea take over everything and the vision for a big city. They are now bigger and are in an orphanage. He then has a dream where he is submerged in water and is at peace until a hand pulls him out and he wakes up with his eyes shining and the water in the bottle moving. He says he has these recurring dreams. Next is graduation, a guy getting rejected there too, and we find out his name is Yanagi too. Possibly that was his dad in the volcano. The teacher says goodbye to him. He now graduated will leave the orphanage and go back to his homeland. And when he leaves he says that he had a good life in the orphanage and was lonely just because he wanted to, remembering his eyes, implying that he has no control over his powers. Then a cool delinquent is waiting for someone and spots our protagonist and goes to greet him, calls him Yanagi Yukito and it is confirmed that he is the son of the hero of the volcano. He refuses the drunk guy trying to talk to him and quickens his pace. After ignoring the guy and saying he wasn't the one he was looking for, the guy says he has no option and throws him in the water from the top of the bridge and watches what will happen. At first, Yukito's body was heavy, until his powers took over and he was afraid of losing control while forming a cyclone, but the green-haired boy stops his powers and they start talking. An AE out of nothing. The guy put Yukito into his backpack with magic. I don't understand until now. Then Yukito wakes up and we find out that the name of the one in green is Jinji and the captain says that he is a famous villain on the island while laughing. And Jinji says that now he will live on the island of Ayaka which has the same name as the anime. In this case the island that Yukito was born on. Then Jinji says it was an old man friend of his father and considered him as a father too and that now he will be in his care, and they go to the island. There they are welcomed by the person in charge who we found out was the mayor named Inu Sanji, but we'll just call him Inu out of respect for our pervert of the seven seas and Momoko, the housewife who took care of him as a child. After welcoming him with a banner, they drive to the village and Yukito encounters a small spirit on the road but only he seems to have noticed. Arriving at the house, he sees a photo. The one with green hair was the boy who took him to the boat when everything happened. They say his father was an important Mayakatsuji who protected the balance of the village. That's what they call those with powers. Yukito asks just like Jinji did putting him in his backpack and Momoko is already super annoyed and Jinji starts to explain that it was a joke. We found out that the one with the green hair is the third disciple of the Yanagi and the other two that we saw before, are the first and second and all three are brothers. After that, they answer that his father didn't talk about his mother and then that his father's wish is that if he leaves this, it's for the best that his son grows up on the main island, which was that city we saw before. And when it's not a problem, call him back. They say they don't understand his wish but respect him. And they ask him to live on the island now, and he says he understands and says he's in their care thanking you. Upon arriving in the room he sees the spirit from before. Jinji says that it is a Mitama and that there are several around the island and at some point he gets used to it. Jinji asks why he is so defensive and he reveals that when he was a child he was playing with other children in the river and one of them played a nasty joke with him and when he realized it, the other child was already being drowned by the river and he didn't even have control of his powers. He says something similar happened a few more times and that he gave up getting involved with people, that in this way he controls his emotions and these powers. And Jinji, rude as always, asks if he's done while he was losing in the game. Yukito leaves the room furious and Jinji apologizes first, but he doesn't listen. Momoko says dinner is ready and he says he's sorry and he'll cool off by walking around a bit. And he is trying to remain calm and control his emotions. A Mitama who was feeling sick falls into the river and as he approaches, a fierce jet of water rises and a demonic head comes out of it and attacks the boy. Jinji saves him and says that this is an Mitama and that unlike the previous one, this AE is evil. So Jinji uses the shadow clone seal, but he does like a domain expansion and an aura is on his fist. I think he's seeing too much jujitsu. and he finishes the monster quickly, but the monster recovers. And Jinji takes the Yukito and throws it again in the water, only now in the monster's water. Yukito gets carried away by emotion and activates his powers, and destroys the monster in a matter of seconds, and his anger is turned to Jinji, and he fears hurting him, but Jinji demonstrates great control and soon nullifies his magic. Yukito is surprised and asks how he did that, and he informs that what Yukito lacks is control and that he will be his sensei and teach him to better control his powers. Then the monster was purified according to the Jinji, and he says to stop with this talk about not showing emotions and for him not to get mad over some kids and show emotions. So Yukito quickly remembers the past and the feeling of having a brother like that, but doesn't identify that it was Jinji or those memories. Jinji then tells them to go back, and Yukito smiles and says he will show his emotions and gives a good flying kick on Jinji's back, throwing him into a lake. The other brothers each now have their disciples and are in a different area. One is in the traditional style observing everything on the island, and the other is in a suit, with a Glock Gothic style and shooting at spirits. I don't know about you, but I would go more to the side of our Gothic bro AE. Yukito comes back with Jinji, who was shivering from the cold, and Jinji explains the situation, and Momoko says she's got the bath ready and says welcome back, and Jinji gives Yukito a little push and he says it's good to be back, smiling, really a great evolution for the kid. To continue this story and many others, leave a like to support the project and subscribe and come to the gang, so that as soon as a video is released you will be notified. Thank you very much for watching me, and we are together with the gang.